And I think this is one of the issues the Warriors have is, let's say they could have gotten Julius Randle and maybe would have cost them the 11th pick this year. I mean, does Julius Randle make you a playoff team? Maybe.
I like him, but I hear you.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know, though. And the other thing is, I'll be honest with you, these two guys from the Pelicans, Murphy and Murray.
Yeah, you got me now. I'm like, man.
I mean, can we...
Last call.
It doesn't bother you at all that they're two players that played on a 26-win team? So they're no real guarantee to elevate the team that they go to.
Now, I can remember a couple years ago, Trey Murphy III was on the Pelicans when they were going to battle with the Lakers in the playoffs. And right now, when you just tell me Pelicans, I just think it's a byproduct of, your environment. And everything is just rotten. But I'll separate the two. When I look at Trey Murphy III, Stoney, like, he's damn sure why they only won. Is not the only reason they won 26 games. He's one of those guys. You get him in a situation with adults on the court and in the room, the sky's the limit, and he's almost touched that in a toxic situation. I like him. His measurements, shoot three, and I'd like, man. How much he making, Stoney?
I mean, I know we like these guys, but I think because of the situation the Warriors are in, we like them more than they really are.
But we haven't had a player like Trey Murphy III in forever.
You think he's a frontline star?
I wouldn't say star. Steph Curry would be the star, but he would be 1B or C or 2A. Like, man, I like the player. I love the player.
Okay.
But obviously they might not, because nothing's being done. But I'm feeling like any and everybody even Zion on that team could be had.
888-957-9570 is the number. NBA draft tonight at 5 o'clock. Warriors have their highest pick since Jonathan Kuminga back in 2021. Wow. Yeah. So it's been 5 years since they've had a pick this high. My question is, how excited are Warrior fans for this pick? Are you more excited for this pick, or are you more excited for the possibility of what the Warriors could do with this pick?
And there I am. Just put my name on the ladder. Again, I'm going to welcome the rook if they go ahead and whoever it is. But I just know we got to buckle up because we are in, and it's no indictment on the youngster, without some ready-made vets to turn this thing around and give us a best chance to get out of the play-in next year and make the playoffs. I feel like we need some guys that have already played in this league.
Yeah. I guess we're still there in your mind. You laughing, Carter?
Is he?
Yeah.
Carter, what
at me or Goo?
At Goo's line, we need vets.
Thank you, Vernon.
415. The Wolves traded back for a worse pick in the draft to get off Randle.
Dude, he just, man.
Well, they did a couple things. They had to get off Randle to sign DeSumnu, which they did. And then they clearly did not want a guaranteed contract from a first-round pick on their books. So they now have a second-round pick that's not guaranteed. So the Wolves are in, some cost-cutting move.
Well, they just paid your guy. How to pronounce his name?
DeSumnu.
Yeah, he got to play.
Yeah, they decided they needed DeSumnu, and they had to get rid of.
He got paid.
They got rid of Julius Randle, and we'll see if they're in on Jaylen Brown. The Atlanta might be in on Jaylen Brown.
The best.
Could the Hawks get Jalen Johnson for Jaylen Brown? I'm sorry. Could the Celtics get Jalen Johnson? I got to believe he'd have to be in that deal, right?
Yeah, man. I'll say this, but. Nobody asked me. You didn't. But Jaylen Brown talked himself out of town. And him and Tatum were peanut butter and jelly, man. And for you to go selfish and ball out, you did more than I thought you can do when it was just on you. And everybody gave you your props. But to go to the mic or these podcasts and stream and talk that crap about this was your favorite year, that's a shot at Tatum. I understand you might want your own show, but he's going to end up somewhere. And I'll just tell you this, if it were that, Jalen Johnson would be worth that. That's what I would want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The one thing,
Jaylen Brown's a baller.
The one thing that I am that I don't put into the equation at all and that is because the Warriors seem to be far away. Like this is not the way I look at it. Put it that way. You know, the Warriors are far away. We know that. So because they're far away, let's not draft 11 because it's just one young guy, and we need more than one young guy. All right. I'm with you there, but you don't get 5 young guys in a year.
So what do you do in the meantime?
You draft the 11th pick, and you hope that he's a starter in a year or two. That's the first thing that I do. And I don't use Jimmy Butler to get older. If I can use Jimmy Butler, I've got to use Jimmy Butler to get a guy here who's not 35 or older. He's got to be younger than that, I think.
So you really, and maybe I'm late to the party. It wouldn't be the first time. Because at L Best Ever J on the text line, if this is true and I'm just in naivete here, there's not a single player that would even make the Warriors a playoff team. Like, that's frightening to me. But if that's reality, then you got to do what you're saying. Draft, play it out, draft, play it out. You would be a fool to bring something old to this nucleus and still not get the bang for your buck in regard to being a threat to make not championship, just make the offs in the latter years of Steph and Dre. Or it could be Steph if something happens with Dre.
Yeah, I just what I don't like is making moves solely for Curry and Draymond in the next year or two. I think that would be very short-term thinking. That's the way I look at it. And Jaylen Brown's obviously different. Jaylen Brown isn't 35, but Jaylen Brown's a bona fide star. And when his name comes up, of course, I'd be interested in Jaylen Brown. He's a hell of a player. But realistically, the Celtics are going to have to get a player back. They're not going to take. Really? They're going to take Jimmy Butler so that they can get off Jaylen Brown, who they just re-signed a couple years ago to a monster contract.
But we know it's not about basketball. If it's really bad and Jaylen Brown has done what I think he's done and alienated everybody around him to where he's got to go, maybe you take a penny on the dollar. But I want to throw one name up because I feel like the Warriors are desperate, and I'm being real, people. Even if you could possibly get Ja Morant at a bargain, that's just off the table for you? Ja Morant, who once was almost handed the keys to this league?
What are you giving up for him? Like that, it really comes down to that. But I get the sense, just say yes or no whether you'd be in on these players.
Right.
I think I know the Ja Morant.
I'm in.
De'Aaron Fox.
You know what? I'm out, Stoney.
Oh, we found a player.
Yeah, I'm out.
Even for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
straight up.
Well,
straight up for Jimmy Butler.
I would do that.
Okay.
I would do to Jimmy.
Jaylen Brown?
Oh, come on now.
Joel Embiid?
I like me, Joel.
Anthony Davis?
Oh, man.
We got to find a couple guys that you're not interested in.
Well, can you admit that we're desperate?
No.
It's a team, not you, because you don't have feelings. Can you admit that this is these are desperate, these are dire times?
I don't think Dunleavy feels desperate and dire. I just didn't get that sense from the press conference.
Well, let's do this. And I was trying to tell the boss this last night and the people watching, Steiny.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's my favorite athlete, one of them all time. Mm-hmm. If this is not going to get better, then you got to have that conversation and move them. And then you start rebuild. Then you do it that way. But you can't please both masters trying to get young and still it can't go on.
Zach LaVine?
For Jimmy?
Sure.
Yeah.
What's his monstrosity of a salary? Oh, man. Let's go to Joe. Joe's in Burbank. Hey, Joe, what's happening, my man?
Hey, good morning, Steiny. Good morning, Goo.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, on Leonard, do we even know what the league's going to possibly do with his financial contract?
You talking about Kawhi?
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard. Do we know what the league is going to do with his possible contract and financial situation that was, the cover up and all that stuff.
I think nothing.
Well, he's got one more year at $50 million, and like they're not going to avoid that because then he just becomes a free agent, which almost seems like a reward. So my understanding is maybe nothing happens to Kawhi Leonard, but it happens to the organization. So I think everybody's operating under the assumption that Kawhi Leonard's got $50 million next year on his deal, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for that. That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. And, I wanted to also say, he usually, if you think back, not this past season, but other seasons, he usually misses a lot of games for different injuries.
Yes, he does.
And I kind of think that this last year, I think he kind of felt that there was a good chance they're going to move him. And I think he's looking down the road at an extension. And I think he played a lot of games, so he would have appeal to other teams. They wouldn't hesitate to try to trade for him. So I think that might be, something that, you're looking at, wow, let's trade for Leonard. And I love him. If he was healthy, that'd be a good deal. But I don't know. I question his ethics, his injury status stuff. And just jumping over to the draft real quick, that's a tough one. From listening to Dunleavy, it kind of sounds like they're going to maybe take the best young player available no matter what position it is because they want to get the best player. So I don't know what you guys think of that, but I'm excited about the pick. I still am in that group of people that don't want to move it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But anyway, you guys totally rock.
You too, man.
For taking my call.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like if the league was going to come down on the Clippers, it would already come down. And, everybody would know, okay, even if you thought about Kawhi or what the Clippers can do if they want to get frisky, they would have some clarity on how bad the situation was. But nothing's happening, and I feel like nothing's imminent.
I'm also I'm working under this premise, too, that Steph is fine. I'm working under the premise that Steph is fine.
And I'm going to ask you this, with what?
What they do. With whatever they do. And I don't know why, but I just feel like, he knows they're trying to do a million different things to Sunday. If they can't get something done, they can't get something done. And if they have to take a guy at 11, they'll take a guy at 11. The one thing I'd also like to say is this is the highest pick the Warriors have had since 2021, you said, right?
Yeah.
So in 2020 and 2021, they had 3 high picks, Wiseman at 2, Kuminga at 7, and Moody at 14. They weren't equipped to play on those Warriors teams at that point because the Warriors thought that and were title contenders at that point. So I just keep in mind that if you make the right pick at 11, this guy is going to play a lot right off the bat. He's got to play a lot right off the bat if he's got any competence, especially if he's a guy like Lendeborg, because he's got 2 guys in front of him that aren't going to play for 3 or 4 months. So you're actually you finally have a built-in opportunity for one of your young players to give him a big runway. And yeah, you can go away from that to get a veteran type of player, but I mean, it's set up for this 11th pick to become part of this team and become part of this team in a hurry.